The Deep Six. Six stories from your world in 30 minutes or less. Hosted by Patty Steele and Steve Cochran. The Deep Six is on.
Well, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Deep Six. We're happy to be here. My name is Steve Cochran, and you are?
I am, as I always am, Patty Steele.
And we co-host this weekly look at six stories where we go a little deeper than we normally have time in Patty's radio job or when I wander the streets and mumble to others and talk about these stories. And then you can go on and break down into discussion groups and talk about them yourselves.
Oh, we love those breakaways at work, don't we?
Oh,
everybody pick some partners and go into another office and do your thing.
We have six stories to get to. Oh, and by the way, don't leave because you have Christmas ideas.
Oh, yes. You have to sit tight with us because really soon we're going to be telling you about the most outrageous holiday gifts. So check your Christmas Club account. Make sure that you've been depositing every week your $2 or $3 because you're going to need every bit of it for this.
Yeah, this won't be on layaway. No. All right. So before we jump in, subscribe, like, and follow wherever you can. And tell us what you think of the show. You can email me at thecochranshow@gmail.com. You can hit Patty on Instagram or Facebook, right?
Yeah. Just Patty Steele or Patty Steele CBS. And there I live.
And she lives at CBS only occasionally, where she hosts the morning show with Scott Shannon on WCBS FM in New York. And you can get my podcast live from my office right where you got this one, The Deep Six. You ready for story number one?
Yes, sir.
The Deep Six. Story number one.
All right. We always talk pop culture and a little TV. What are you watching?
I have so far managed to sit still long enough to watch the first episode of the Beatles documentary. Now, here's my thing, and this is what I maintain. I'm not old enough to be a fan of the Beatles because they were broken up long before that music entered my life.
Same here.
And well, here's the interesting thing. I was at Thanksgiving with a bunch of family. Gee, weird. And they all wanted to watch the Beatles documentary. There were moments where it was like, oh my God, when is this going to end? But there were so many moments of brilliance in that. First of all, the film it looks like it was filmed last week. It is crystal clear. It's just that all these guys are either A, still alive, or B, impossibly young, or both. And you watch them, and it's really amazing because the moments that really stand out to me are when they're all together and they're working on a song. And you're going, wait, that's an iconic song. How could you not know the words? And then they say, no, those words, that word doesn't work. Let's do it this way. And that's the word that they finally use. And you go, oh my God, we're watching this iconic song that's been around for, 50 years be actually not even just written, invented, because it's the music, it's the attitude, it's the lyrics. It's pretty amazing. And the other interesting part of it is watching how close Yoko Ono can sit to John Lennon and still not be singing with them or playing an instrument. Occasionally she does sing, sort of, whatever that is, that sound she makes.
The cat caught in a trap noise.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think it's remarkable. And to be able to see that history be made is cool. But the interplay between the guys, because they truly do feel like four brothers. And
they do.
Think about it. They've only been together as far as U.S. exposure goes for 5 years at that point. And it was right before they broke up.
It was their last, that was their last go around together.
Right. And George was pissed off at Paul because Paul was being bossy.
I was a little pissed off at Paul for that.
He was a little direct.
They needed somebody who was ambitious, a leader, but he was a little mean sometimes. Of course, he's 27. He hasn't softened his edges yet. But I could see both why George left and why John was sitting there watching him. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's processing in his head. This is an unpleasant fellow. I don't know if I want to keep working with him.
Right.
And that's ultimately what happened.
And Ringo sits back brilliantly and only opens his mouth when he has something funny to say. Or some part of smartassery to lighten the mood. But it's totally real. It's totally real. It's totally candid. It's in the moment. There's nothing scripted like the crap we all watch on reality TV. And it's brilliant. Again, I'm with you. the Beatles were done before I really was into music. They were done when I was, I don't know, 7, 8 years old.
Right. We were little kids,
Yeah,
and
but you
no,
know the
actually, they were
Beatles no
done
matter.
when I was not even born for 10 more years.
That's
Wow.
right. So how could you possibly know them? But they're so iconic. We all know the story.
Of
And to be able to
course.
go back and see how it's put together is really cool. It's just
It
very
is
cool.
really cool. It's just that first episode was like, I think 156 minutes. The second one, which I have not yet attempted, is 176 minutes.
Wow.
And then the last one I think is like 140 minutes or 136 minutes. So it's almost 8 hours. And you have to like kind of understand, it's almost like a college lecture class.
Yep.
Because it's fascinating, but you can only take in so much at once, because it's pretty much all takes place, at least so far, in basically a warehouse, and they're all just sitting around going back and forth and riffing. And after a while, wow, it's intense. But
it's cool though to see Linda there with Paul having a great time, taking those photos.
No, she's so beautiful. Oh.
Yeah, and the photos that we wouldn't have otherwise, because she was the one that did that. And
right.
And you know, the legendary stories of the Beatles leaving scratched up, you know, notepads with the lyrics for little songs like "Hey Jude" lying around.
Yes, right.
You know, and one of the engineers was smart enough to grab it and take it home, and of course sold it later on for a bazillion dollars.
Right.
It's just cool. You're literally watching history. So whether you're into the Beatles or not, I'd highly recommend it. Now, on the flip side of that, you and I have also both seen a really tough show to watch.
Oh my God.
Called Dopesick. And
yeah.
Dopesick is based on a hit book called Dopesick about the crisis, the opioid crisis in this country.
Particularly Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family, and their role in really pushing this crisis forward. It's frightening to watch. I think a little bit of it may be a little over dramatic in some spots, but that kind of works with the subject matter. And Kevin Costner,
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton stars, and he's
great, by the way.
He's fabulous, and you really don't understand his whole role in what happened and how it impacted him until you get into it a little ways. But it is, you know, you and I both have been around very close around
people we love,
addiction, people we love desperately in serious addiction, and you watch that, and you know, it's funny because as you're watching it, you see these lovely people who are ravaged by this illness, and I found myself sitting there saying, please don't let her die, don't let him die, don't let this happen. It really like personally impacts you if you've been there and you've looked into the eyes of someone that you love, that is a beautiful, smart, talented person, and you see the horrors that this stuff is putting on them, and you see this family who is just dedicated to making as much money as possible, and anybody who's impacted be damned, who cares,
right?
You know, they're just filthy addicts is their attitude, and it's really
and it's incredibly frustrating because this isn't a spoiler alert thing, because this is news, it's happened.
Yeah.
Their Purdue Pharma executives protected their personal wealth, and they are, as of now at least, aren't going to jail. Though you know, I'm hopeful that they'll find something else on them. But the family itself at the top of the chain, just terrible people.
It's wild, because I was reading about it after watching this. The family was worth something like 14 or 15 billion dollars, and in the aftermath of this is worth 10.8 billion.
Right.
So, you know, what did this cost them? And to this day, within the last month, Richard Sackler, who was the president, he was the main guy really pushing for them lying to doctors about the addictive nature of this drug, pushing them to prescribe OxyContin for something as little as a twisted ankle.
Yeah, a headache.
And a headache or a toothache. It just it's unbelievable. And this guy to this day says he played no role in the
Outrageous.
opioid epidemic in this country.
You know, it's one of those things too, where people look back, they go, wait, nobody involved in the 2007-2008 financial crisis went to jail. No. Nobody involved in the opioid crisis, the highest levels, has gone to jail. No. So as much as I tell people to not be cynical, stay involved, it's hard sometimes.
It is
hard.
You see this stuff and you're like, man.
So anyway, we should mention this too, that the Beatles situation is on Apple TV and Apple TV Plus, and Dope Sick is on Hulu. Also on Hulu is another thing that you and I have watched, and I actually watched this full run a little bit ago, but I remember the series well because I'm really big fans of Steve Martin and Martin Short. It's Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah, they are. They are so adorable together. It's funny. They seem to travel in tandem. Like I see them on late night shows together. I see them all over the place together. And I think it's because Steve Martin is notoriously a very kind of private guy who's not like a big social guy. And so Martin Short is this big personality, and he sort of is his, arm candy or whatever.
His little puppet. And by the way, I've been on stage with Marty Short a couple of times. I was a guest when Jiminy Glick needed a guest, where he jumped into my lap and nearly broke me. But he and Steve Martin together, if you've not seen them on stage, they continue to tour. It's fall down funny for an hour and a half or more. But I wasn't crazy about Only Murders. I thought it was... I didn't love it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Was it the addition of Selena Gomez?
Yeah, I thought that was a weird fit. But I know you couldn't go with a third old guy because then you're limiting your audience.
Yeah.
And she may be a decent actress. I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy that she'd be hanging out with those guys.
My daughter is 23, actually just turned 24. That's what makes that a great show to her. She loves that because she sort of plays with them and their lack of pop culture knowledge and that kind of thing. And I think she adds kind of a little contemporary touch to it. Plus she has this kind of interesting, I don't want to spoil anything, but she has this sort of interesting character in there. And contrary to what you're saying, I kind of, for myself, if I was a kid that age and I met those guys in my building, I could see myself hanging out with them because they're interesting guys. They all have the same love for true crime. Who doesn't love true crime these days, right? And I think that's kind of how that they all came together. And that's
I'm glad the casting worked. It didn't work for me necessarily, but somehow I feel Selena Gomez's career will be fine, even knowing that she disappointed me a tad. But I do get it. I get it. And they do make fun of podcasts a little bit, but they also talk about the power of podcasts because that's a central part of the storyline. And this doesn't spoil it for you, but there's a very funny spin and turn by Sting in this, which is brilliant. And Nathan Lane, you're going to see the Nathan Lane you know and the one you don't know. So there's a plug for Only Murders in the Building as well. Now, you mentioned true crime. As we go to story number 2.
The Deep Six. Number 2.
It is true crime. It's fascinating. It is this whole story. We've been talking about this. I mean, this thing has been in court for the last week or so, the Jussie Smollett case.
Yeah. And when Mayor Rahm Emanuel used to come in studio with me on the radio all the time, this Jussie Smollett thing blew up. One of the things the mayor said to me was he's going to pay for this. And by pay, I mean the amount of money we wasted and yet what it cost to put the police on the street and the investigators and all the things were tied up with this. So regardless of how the case ends up going, here's the thing you need to know. True crime is great. And there's a reason it's the most popular genre in podcasts. But sometimes true crime involves real first-class USDA choice idiots. And Jussie Smollett is an idiot. So here's what happened in Chicago on that polar vortex week.
It's a true crime comedy. It really is.
It's insane. So Jussie Smollett's on Empire. He wants a raise.
Right.
He wants a big chunk of money more. They're telling him no.
Right.
Empire, by the way, is shooting in Chicago.
Yes.
And in Empire, the folks at Empire are probably at that point considering getting rid of him. So he's going to go, I'm going to be a big hero. I'm going to stage a crime against me. and then I'll be a big hero because I survived it. Oh, and by the way, I'll fold Trump in because he's a racist.
Right.
Believe me, I don't defend Trump in any way, shape, or form. But in this case, Jussie Smollett rolled in Trump and made himself look even dumber. Because when it's a 40 below zero in the middle of a Chicago winter, Jussie Smollett wants us to believe that he went to Subway at 2:30 in the morning and he was viciously mugged and beaten by a couple of Trump fans who also had rope on them and put a noose around his neck. And that noose was still on his neck when the police arrived, even though the bad guys were gone. Oh, and by the way, this all took place in one of the most Democrat liberal areas of Chicago, a very Democrat liberal city like New York. And we're supposed to believe that Trump fans hang out there and wait for black guys to attack. Other than that, he had a flawless plan. Oh, and by the way, the two thugs he hired were a couple of idiot muscleheads from a gym where he worked out. And they were seen on a security video at a hardware store. I'm not making this up, called the Crafty Beaver.
Oh, I love crafty beavers.
Well, it's always good to have your beaver be crafty. We know that. And the Crafty Beaver, they're buying duct tape and they're buying rope, all for this crime. They've already rolled over on him. I don't see any way that he ever works in show business again. But this, to me, is a true crime idiot. Did I forget any details? I think.
Well, one of them is that he took a picture of himself with the rope around his neck before the police arrived. When the police got there, they took pictures, and it seems that during the time between the picture he took and them getting there, he'd actually tightened the rope around his neck. Because when you're traumatized and think somebody is trying to kill you, the first thing you do is help them tighten the rope before the cops get there.
Yeah, well, it was a cold night, and he didn't have an ascot. You know what I'm saying?
And the best part is they also have him on video doing a dry run the night before that they actually did this to make sure they got all the facts straight. So yeah, it's a bizarre story.
True crime idiots. Maybe that'll be a special niche in true crime we'll try to bring you on occasion, but that's certainly one.
I'll say, man, what a crazy story. I need to hug you after that.
You need a hug? Well, I'm always here for your hugs, even though normally that's a post-show activity.
Well, funny we should be talking about hugs, because here's an interesting story I ran into. It seems all hugs are not equal. British psychologists found that we all think longer hugs between 5 and 10 seconds are actually more pleasant than those brief. Have you ever gotten one of those like cursory hugs that it seems like the person is wishing they didn't have to touch you?
Oh, sure.
And they come in and they move in and they go,
one time, just once.
It's like, they're very creepy. Well, researchers say the one thing to remember, and this sounds so British, special care should be taken to avoid extremely brief hugs. That sounds really British to me. Mm-hmm. But they also say that they're still studying how long a hug should be before it gets super creepy, like, and awkward. Like,
well, let me ask you that though, because as a woman, you get a hug from a woman who really isn't that crazy about hugging you from the side, because she doesn't want to press her boobs up against you, you dirty old man. Yeah. So, but that's, you know, for people that maybe aren't all that familiar with each other, or a woman that's not so comfortable with the person that's hugging, or whatever the case may be. Right. But a 10-second hug feels like a long time.
I agree.
Unless you like the person.
Yeah. I think, 5-10 seconds, that by the time you get to 10, you're kind of going, okay, what's going on here? It's like getting at Thanksgiving, getting a hug from, like an elderly distant relative who doesn't want to let go. And you're like, how you feel when you were a kid. It's like, you start like wiggling around. Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing. The reason they're doing this study is because they're trying to make robots seem more friendly. And they did a study and they found that short robot hugs were evaluated less positively. So
wait, they're telling you that robots should hug us longer?
Yes. If a robot comes up and just goes, their little metal arms go around you and just go, it feels weird and creepy and metally. But if a robot comes up and just kind of goes, hello, Patty, puts their arms around and tightens them for 5 seconds, okay, maybe he's really feeling, or she's really feeling something, and I can.
They are feeling something. I wouldn't argue with that.
Now, on top of this, you might want to avoid hugs altogether. What with the rise of the latest COVID variant? What is it? Omicron? Is that how you say it?
Well, is it?
The Deep Six Number 4.
Story number 4 on the Deep Six is, how do you say Omicron? Because look, I know you feel the same way. If you're going to invite a new variant into your world, at least be decent enough to know how to say it.
How to say their name. Yeah. And we're all having to live with this right now.
So we go to the BBC again here. A BBC presenter got blasted for saying Omicron wrong. And this is a Greek word. The correct pronunciation, according to many scholarly experts that don't include me, is Omicron, not Omicron or Omicron. It's O-H-M-Y-cron, but the emphasis on the O. Does that make sense?
Omicron.
Yeah.
That's
Omicron.
how I've been saying it. I'm a Greek expert.
You're a Greek goddess. It's Omicron. It's the little o as opposed to the large O necessarily. So the emphasis is on the first syllable. So it's Omicron, not Omicron. So if you got somebody going Omicron, you got yourself a problem. So now that
God, Omicron.
So now that we cleared up that a very, very important story, because time is money, I think we need to talk a little money.
The Deep Six. Number 5.
Okay. Do you have any clue? This is a little test for you. They just named the 10 most expensive cities in the world for 2021 to live in. What would you say would be the number 1 city, the most expensive?
By the way you're asking this, it's not New York. So
it's not New
I'm
York.
Go with, I'm thinking Paris or Tokyo. I'm going to go with Tokyo.
Yeah. You know what? Tokyo is not even on the top 10 list anymore.
Really?
How weird is that?
Yeah, because that was always one of the most expensive cities. All right, we got to go in reverse order. Number 10.
Number 10, Osaka, Japan.
All right, Osaka, oh my. Number 9.
LA.
See, but that's a weird one to me because you have to say Southern California, right? Because downtown LA is nothing. It's nothing. 80 little towns connected.
Yeah, it's Beverly Hills. It's all the other, I don't even know the names of those cities. I can't even go to them, let alone afford to live in them.
So number 8?
Number 8 would be a Copenhagen, Denmark. Beautiful, beautiful.
Never
place.
Been there. Never been.
Never been there either, but I've seen pictures.
Yep. Number 7?
Geneva, Switzerland. Been there. Absolutely exquisite.
Do you remember it being super expensive?
I don't remember it being super expensive because I didn't stay there. I traveled through it.
Okay, number 6.
And number 6 would be New York, USA.
New York is 6. Wow.
Yeah.
I got to say, it's probably been a while since New York's been out of the top 5.
Yeah, but keep in mind, it's been a really rough couple of years. And so this is just for this year. And we all know how precipitously the real estate market collapsed in New York City during the pandemic. So that could be why they're down there. Number 5 after 6.
Number 5, sorry.
5. That's okay. Hong Kong.
Yeah, that makes sense. Number 4.
Zurich, Switzerland, also beautiful. With Lake Luzerne is there. Oh my Lord.
You think with all the money going on in Switzerland, their cheese would have less holes. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Try the veal.
Try the veal, right.
What comes after Zurich?
Well, we have a tie for second place between Singapore and Paris.
I love Paris. The people in Paris hate me, but I love Paris.
Why do they hate you? What did you do there?
I'm American.
Oh.
And I speak.
I've never had a problem with anyone there, and I'm American.
Well, I speak the same amount of French as Pepe Le Pew does. So when I walk into shops and go, they're not so impressed.
Yeah, particularly because Pepe Le Pew has been canceled. So
yes, so much.
It doesn't work.
But
Number 1,
so
most.
What's number 1?
Number 1 most expensive city, Tel Aviv in Israel.
Really?
Yeah. How interesting is that?
You could have given me 100 guesses and I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, I'm not certain why. Maybe I've got the wrong list.
Lubbock, Texas, ahead of Tel Aviv.
Oh wait, that wasn't most expensive cities. That was Tel
Aviv.
Actually.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Well, speaking of money, I have for you some ideas on some really special Christmas gifts. Now you're going to have to drop some dough, and you actually brought the first one of these to us. Let's say I need a new TV. How much should I be spending?
Well, you can pop over to Best Buy or Costco and pick up your television, or you can go online and order up And I love the name of this thing, the LG Signature OLED R65-inch class rollable 4K smart TV with AI ThinQ. It's actually 64.5, but who's counting diagonally?
All right. Why is this a special TV? Other than
So
that?
what you get is this beautiful long silver box. I don't know, it's maybe 8 inches high, however many inches wide the TV is, and about 8 inches deep, something like that. And it's just like a brushed metal. You press a button and up rolls the TV. The TV has the thinnest possible glass that can be rolled. It unrolls to make this incredible looking screen, and it only costs you $100,000. And the best part is, I was reading all the details about it, and it said it's rated to last for like 120,000 hours, which would be 21 years. And I thought, anybody who's spending 100 grand on a TV, A, probably doesn't even watch that much TV, and B, will want a new one within a year or two.
Well, that's the thing with the $1,500, $2,000 TVs or more, if you want to spend more, but you can get a great TV now for $1,000 and you replace it in a couple of years.
And less. Absolutely. So that was my I had to laugh at that. I thought, well, you can show somebody the video and say, if I had the money, this is what I'd get you. And that's it.
Now, here's the deal. You broadcast live from New York City every day. I'm in Chicago, but I want to get you something special for the holidays.
Sure.
I don't know if you're a Frank Lloyd Wright fan.
I'm a huge Frank Lloyd Wright fan. Are you out of your mind? Oh my God.
And by the way, in some of the boroughs, they like to call him, "Hey, yo, Frankie. Hey, nice house, Frankie." Ah.
No, nobody says that to me. I've read millions of books about him. I've seen every single thing he's built, whether it's still standing or not. So yeah. So tell me what?
So his creation, Falling Water.
Yes, been there. Yep, outside of Pittsburgh, south of Pittsburgh.
How about a Frank Lloyd Wright designed waterfall for your backyard, structured in the manner of falling water, his design as it was put together? They'll put it in a matter of perfect symmetry with your landscaping.
Sure.
And you will have that. You got Frankie in the backyard, and it's only $1.6 million.
Whoa. Wow, that's a lot of money. I don't think Falling Water cost that when it was built back
I bet it didn't.
Yeah, no. A long time ago. That's interesting. Is it going to look, here's my concern, before you get busy writing the check for me, but nobody writes checks anymore, before you get busy Zelle quick paying or whatever.
Yeah, when I Zelle this, I'll definitely Zelle this. Yeah.
Is it going to look like I'm at Disney World, or is it going to look really cool like I'm at Falling Water?
I'll just tell you that Angelina Jolie put one in her backyard, and I'm thinking that she probably put it in a tasteful manner.
Yes. Well, she varies in her taste, but whatever. Okay. Well, I kind of like that idea. I think you should go for that. I'll take that. You do that for me.
All right. Is Venmo okay if I can't pull those? Zelle has some limits. I'm not sure about Venmo. I'll PayPal.
No, Venmo's fine with me.
And one more from Luxury Christmas Gifts. If you really want to guilt dad into spending more time with you, remember Aaron Spelling, one of the most successful TV producers of all time, produced a lot of primetime soaps, as you know, Charlie's Angels, Dynasty, all of those, at a very famous house in Beverly Hills for all.
Oh, yeah.
And he wanted to do something special for the kids. And this has since been, to some extent, copied by Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner did it as well, but Aaron Spelling did it with fake snow. Kevin Costner had real snow from the Rockies trucked to Southern California to put in his yard so the kids could play in real snow. The fake
it must have been a refrigerated truck, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, they'd just unleash it and their water would pour out.
A truck full of water, right.
Yeah.
So Aaron Spelling's version were snow machines where put fake snow down, like in a ski area where you don't have snow.
Right.
$2 million. $2 million to layer your estate with snow in Southern California or any climate.
Wow. It better not be an 80-degree day because it's not going to last very long.
Right? I mean, come on.
That is unbelievable. What happens to people? You get that kind of money. I wonder what happens too. What are the kids? Are the kids so entitled or so jaded that, they look out the window and go, hey, yeah, whatever, cool.
Yeah, right, because they should be going, thank you, daddy, thank you.
Yeah, where's my BMW?
But that's changed, right?
Yeah, well, actually, they don't say, there's a lot of things you're not supposed to, if you're trying to be cool, you don't say when you're a kid. One of the most interesting things I've noticed lately, and just saw a study on that, kids do not say you're welcome or no thank you anymore. So what happens is, if you say something like, hey, thank you to somebody, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, no worries, or yeah, no problem, because they say that if you say you're welcome, it kind of implies that there's a transactional thing, that
Oh,
you're
God.
welcome means, okay, you got to do so. Does that mean I have to do something back for you or whatever? So they pretty much always reply no problem or no worries. They say it also just sounds less formal, friendlier. And here's the thing that I've noticed with my own kids too. Like I'll say, hey, anybody want a pork chop for dinner or whatever the heck I'm making? And my kids will look at me and go, I'm good, or I'm okay. They won't say no, thank you. It's always, I'm good. That's kind of weird to me.
It's a little cold, right? I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's like you're
feel
avoiding
great.
the thank you.
It doesn't
And
feel great.
and I always say back to them, I know you're good, but would you like a pork chop or a piece of chicken?
Right.
Because I want to
So
hear the no thank you.
is
Or
that
I hate your
something,
food, mom.
is that something we're just going to have to live with, do you think?
I guess. I mean, languaging changes and everything is like, so it's like, have you noticed now, because on texting, you're not supposed to put a period after a sentence because it sounds like you're saying no word needs to follow this. So you don't put a period. And I've noticed it in regular writing now. People don't want to put a period after the end of a sentence. So you get confused as to, well, where did the sentence end? I
Well,
don't
the other
know.
thing too that certainly has been a part of my observations is the ... world when you write. You know, it's
Oh
not
my
just,
gosh.
you
I'm
know,
sitting
just
here looking at my
worried
screen.
about punctuation. Don't worry about it. Just ... everything.
That's actually what I have. I'm looking at my screen here and I have tons of ... dots. But it also helps me separate thoughts. That's the way I do it.
Right. We're all basically guilty of it. But yeah, I don't know. You know, would it kill you if you're a teen or a kid to say, thanks, Mom, I really appreciate your cooking?
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Now all you have to do is say, no worries. No problem.
no worries. Totally.
The Deep Six, number 6.
We saved this last item on the Deep Six to be something ridiculous. And Patty, you brought this up to me before we started recording this podcast.
Mhm.
This has so many angles. It's fantastic. A woman who had given up, right? Is that essentially it?
Yeah, well, yes, she'd sort of given up. What she really discovered, there's this woman in Australia, what she discovered was that everybody she dated didn't really turn her on or do as much for her as she did for herself.
Mhm.
She realized that, oh my God, I'm in love with me. I'm the ideal person for me. And she went to the town hall there in wherever, Australia, and she had a license drawn up, and somehow they let her do this, I guess, if you believe the story. And she married herself. Now, a few years goes by, and lo and behold, she finally meets a guy who's like, apparently turns her on more than she turns herself on, which begs the question, is she going to cheat on herself with this guy?
Right,
I mean,
right.
she started a life here with herself, you know?
Right. And is she saying to herself, what can I do? Shouldn't we get counseling?
Right, exactly. Exactly. How do I keep this quiet is the other side of it. So she decides that she wants to marry this guy. Now she's got to divorce herself. So she had to actually file divorce papers to drop herself.
Did
So
she have
that
a prenup?
exactly. You gotta pay herself. I kept thinking, well, what was the wedding night like by herself versus the wedding night like with the
Right,
new guy? I
right,
don't know.
right.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
some real standards he has to live up to. I'm telling you right now.
Exactly.
And do we know if she was amicable with herself? Was the settlement
Yeah.
satisfactory?
Right, exactly. What do they usually say when it comes to divorces, that they had what's the term? Most people,
Um,
almost every divorce has, say they use the same
oh,
term.
the irreconcilable differences?
Yeah, so she had irreconcilable differences, and maybe the only way she could live with herself is if she also lived with this guy. And what about the kids? What do you do about the kids?
Well, listen, it hasn't started a trend yet, but then again, there's still time. Now, the only problem with doing only 6 stories is we sometimes run out of time before we can do all the stories we want. And we, of course, curate hundreds of stories each week, as far as you know. So starting with this episode, let's wrap with each of us in a story we wish we had time to get to. What's yours?
Oh, it's very quick, and it works because the West Point cadets are playing the Navy midshipmen in the Army Navy game coming up December 11th, and was interesting because they do this all the time. The cadets from West Point decided that they wanted to kidnap the Naval Academy's mascot ahead of the game. The thing is they traveled They traveled a couple of weeks ago to a farm near Annapolis, Maryland, which is the home of the Navy mascot named Bill. And he belongs to a long line of goat mascots, all of whom are named Bill. So they started chasing the goats. It's late at night. The goats
are they yelling Bill?
Yeah, and they grab onto this goat, and they see in the darkness, they see this little patch on him, on his collar that says, "Oh, this is Bill. We got him." They grab him, they race and wrap him in a big blanket, race him out. Turns out every goat in that pasture was named Bill. So they grabbed Bill number 34, a one-horned 14-year-old retiree, instead of the new, fresh, shiny Bill number 37, who was the one going to be used at the Army Navy game. So,
oh, that is truly a shame. So the goat that was taken, Bill, just wanted to sit back, have some country time lemonade, and complain about the neighbors. And here
lay under a tree. Yeah, take it easy, and these damn kids.
Oh, that's just too bad. It's very sad, actually.
Bad kids.
Mine, a story we didn't have time to get to. It's not really that important. It seems that at any given time, asteroids could smash into Earth and kill all of us. There is an asteroid smashing rocket that's being developed that they want to test. So in case one is headed for us, because we have people monitoring this, in case one is headed for us, they could shoot the rocket up and smash the asteroid. And there's a couple asteroids coming up which could fly fairly close to us. It's in space distances, so it's either within 2 million miles or 47 feet. They're not sure at this point. But this rocket could be ready to go, but we don't have time to do the story. I don't know what you want from me. We don't have time.
Oh, no, you got to tell us the story. How do we protect ourselves?
Maybe next time, if we're all still here. You've been listening to the Deep Six. Patty, they can get a hold of you by Instagram and Facebook. They can email me at thecochranshow@gmail.com. We appreciate you very much for listening. Oh, and also we want to thank the folks at WRNR in Annapolis who produced this thing and get it together for us.
And of course, we want to thank our pal, Tim Reed, for doing all of the clipping and editing of this show, because God knows there's plenty of it.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it takes him 6 months to get each one of these episodes fully produced and finished.
And he has a young intern named Steve Kingston who helps him out.
Yeah, but I don't like that kid. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, he's got no future.
He's got a lot of attitude.
Yeah.
In the meantime, thank you as always for listening, and tell us what you think. And we'll see you next time on the Deep Six. Bye, Patty.
Bye-bye, honey.
Thanks for listening. The Deep Six. Subscribe, rate, follow, or review at pattysteele.com or cochranshow.com.